Good morning. We have got 2 whole days of dry weather, and so we've got a to-do list about as wide as this shed, and so we're just going to try and get as much done as possible in 2 days. Let's go. Good morning, Lil. Fluff. Good morning. Yeah, like I said before the intro, yeah, we've got 2 days of dry, so we're going to try and get as much done as possible. But the first thing we're going to do is try and create a tunnel for the girlies to come out, because it's so mean. You can't explain to them that they're not allowed out, and yeah, it's heartbreaking. Rube is just sat on her perch, like every time we come past, like, you know, and then running for the door, and it's just, oh, it's too mean. So where they've got their normal run, I'm just going to narrow it right down because we don't have enough netting to cover the whole lot and keep it secure. We're going to create like a chicken tunnel between their door and like the end of their run, and see if we can just enclose it and see if we can give them a bit of outside time. That is the first job on the list. It wasn't on our to-do list. It was too mean this morning, so we've decided that's what we're going to do. Let's start with that.
You right there, Rube? We're going to try and get you out there. We are going to try and get that Rube out and about.
So if you don't keep chickens or birds yourself, you might be wondering what I'm talking about with this whole bird lockdown thing. Well, it's because avian influenza has been reported in the country. So the UK is an avian influenza prevention zone. And so as soon as it's picked up, all poultry, that includes domestic chickens like ours, but also big companies that have free-range chickens, or that they produce eggs or for meat, any of that. All birds can't be outside and just having a nice time unless they're in a completely enclosed space where they can't come into contact with the wild bird population, because the avian influenza is brought in by migrating birds and then it's held in the bird population just out and about. And it's deadly. It's deadly to all the birds. Basically, if they get bird flu, they're done for, but it spreads incredibly quickly. And so that's why we have these really strict measures come in. And it didn't used to come in every year, but God, for the last few years, it has been every winter we've gone into chicken lockdown. And last year, they went in, would have been very early November, I think it must have been. Very early November? Yeah. And then they didn't come out until May. It wasn't clear until May. So we don't know how long it's going to last. Sometimes it doesn't last that long. But yeah, so the poor girlies are not allowed just running around outside in case they come into contact with a bird that's carrying avian flu. So that's why we're going to build this little tunnel, so that they can have access to the ground outside. Just because of scratching inside their house, they're perfectly safe. They can't have any contact with birds from inside there. But they also don't have a lot of worms in the leaf litter and all that kind of stuff. So just to be able to let them get out, give them a little bit more space, that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, let's go for that one. Yeah, let's go for that one. Because that's quite fine, that one, isn't it?
It is fine, and also it's stiff enough that it'll stay up.
Yes.
Let's do that. So the plan is for this tunnel is to use this trellis at the back here with jasmine on it as kind of the main height of the tunnel. So we will staple along the top of that. We'll cover the back side of it that's on the path, cover that in netting, so that side's sealed. And then we'll create like a lean-to tunnel coming this side of the trellis, using that as the height so that we can fit inside as well, because otherwise we won't be able to access the chicken house and that'll be a real pain. So we'll be like creating a lean-to tunnel that will be sealed all the way around the bottom and just allow the girlies to have a bit of a scratch around outside, but crucially keeping them safe and within the rules of lockdown. It's a real pain for small-time chicken keepers like us and people who just have chickens in their back garden. It can be a real difficult thing to do, but for large-scale free-range meat and egg companies, it is so difficult because they do get a bit of leeway. I think it's like 16 weeks they get that you can have your birds inside and still call yourself free range. But after that 16 weeks, you have to change everything. You have to change your marketing strategy and your packaging and everything, because you can no longer claim to be free range if your birds are having to be kept inside. So although it's a pain for us, it really does affect the large companies. And unfortunately, it's the companies that endeavour to treat their birds the best possible, you know, with the free range and having them lots of outside space. It's those companies which are worse affected.
And you can work hard and make a dust bath in that thing. Run free!
Yay! Okay, they're out. Now we can get on with something else. Okay, and the next thing on that list also involves netting. This time it's netting cabbages as opposed to netting chickens, though. We've had a small bit of netting on one end of this bed over the red cabbages, but we're going to extend that across the whole bed. We didn't extend it across the whole bed before because we had the courgettes in here, and obviously the courgettes need the pollinators to get the fruit, and so we just had it at one end, and we've got little bottles over the other brassicas. But courgettes are coming out today, and we're just going to net the entire lot. You happy girly, that Rube? Hey, where's Flo? Has she gone back inside? Has she gone back inside? It's no good, is it? No. But you enjoying it? I know, it's a bit smaller than before, isn't it, girly? I know, a bit small. Okay, next challenge. I hope this isn't too windy. I've got my hand over the microphone, so either you're not going to be able to hear me or all you can hear is wind. Hopefully, don't have a microphone, so we'll just see how it goes. I might be dubbing this, we'll see. Yeah, so next thing on the list is, do you remember all of this business down here where we had the swing seat in the summer? And we moved the barbecue there, and this bed that you can see there is going to be moved kind of in this space here. Well, the first stage of that's going to happen today. So actually, me talking to you here isn't going to help. I'll just go down and film it. So this bit down here, that bed is the one that's going to be moved. So all of this area in front of the barbecue will be clear, just be grass. So we've got a bit of space to work and a bit of space to kind of sit around. And it's going to line up with this bed in this space here where I've got the two short beds at the moment. That's where that one's going to transfer to. It is this one that I think I'm going to move today. And we've been umming and ahhing about what to do about them and whether or not we're going to rebuild them. The carrot box, we've decided, although it worked really well, it's not really deep enough. Sorry, now the wind's coming up again. Let's let that go away. There we go. Carrot box we're going to have a rethink about. But both of these beds are going to move up to, you're going to laugh about this, you know I'm always shifting stuff around. Well, let me show you where it's going.
Just checking what it's doing, but it's still got a bit of life left in it.
Yeah? Cool.
Just pick that one. I just cut through that one and it's green.
Yeah.
So
this area up here where I put the artichokes and created the flower bed where I moved the compost bins from earlier this year, I've had a rethink, and those 2 boxes are going to go in this space, and I'm going to take the flower bed out. It just so happens that the 2 boxes fit really neatly between the tree stump and this buddleia, which means we won't have to take anything out. And all that really grew in here this year was this 1 crown prince, and that is all we got out of it. That's not to say that it couldn't be a beautiful flower bed. We didn't get round to kind of putting the things in that we wanted to, but the priority has to be kind of productive growing space. And I know I'm clearing a big patch of just grass down the end as a kind of socializing space, but actually I found I've been chipping away slowly at the kind of open spaces that we've had on the plot. And that's all very well and good, but what ends up happening is that when you do need a bit of open space to build something, or you need to lay something out, we just don't have the space anymore, which is a problem when I've got a couple of fairly large building projects coming up. But yeah, so essentially I'm going to get those 2 boxes from the end and put them up here. I'm going to start with 1 today. And the bricks that we bought for the edging of this bed, I'm going to keep the flower bed up to the point where the buddleia is, and then the rest of the bricks will be moved, and we're probably going to use them as a path inside the greenhouse, because the greenhouse is something else that needs a lot of work this winter. Well, slightly annoyingly, it looks wonky as all hell because we're on a slope here, but I promise you I've had the level out, it's dead straight. But yeah, so eventually I will have all of the compost bins and leaf mould bins running around this side, and then 2 more raised beds here, so it should look pretty snaz. Right, I think it's time for some lunch now. We haven't had lunch up here in so long, and we've got tons of pak choy and bok choy to eat, so I think that's what's in order now. is absolutely delicious. But look at the colour the purple pak choi or the red pak choi has turned the soup base. Mmm, grey water.
Oh, the really tall stuff is.
So this is the other bed that we're going to be moving up the end. It's not going to have carrots in it next year. It's going to have the Jerusalem artichokes in it. But obviously we've got carrots growing in here at the moment, and I just want to check them out to check that they're not rotting out, because we've got some quite good ones under here, and it's been so soggy recently. I just thought I'd give them a check. Obviously because it's still got quite a lot of stuff growing in it and we don't want to kind of strip it out just yet. But let's just have a look and see what the carrots are actually doing.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yes. Good size. They are.
Carrying on with the bed moving process, I'm transferring out a load of rocket that's growing really happily in the bed that we're going to move into this bed. So this bed is staying put, and the rocket will settle down in here quite nicely. We're not going to get too cold too quickly, so it should have a chance to establish, and then we will cover it with plastic, and we should, as long as we don't get a really cold winter, we should be picking it for months to come. So I want to save it. I don't want to just scrap it because it's looking really healthy. So I'm just going to transfer it in here. I'm transferring it with loads and loads of soil, hence I had to dig out a bit of a trench in this bed to put it in, but with some minimal disturbance. I'm kind of transferring it in large clumps like it was kind of a turf, and it should cope with that, no worries, because it would be such a shame just to scrap it because we're moving the bed. And rocket's super tough. It will survive that, no worries. You can see I've moved most of it. I mean, we've still got things in that bed, but I mean, I've moved the majority of it. This is what I've got left in there. Turns out we've actually got radishes thrown in with that as well. I didn't even know there was a radish in here. I think these have been in here basically all year and are looking very sad. I don't think that's going to be a delicious morsel. And it's got a big slug wedged right in the middle of it, so beautiful. But yeah, so this bed is pretty much ready to go. And oh look, there's a parsley in there. Oh, I'll try and save that one as well. But yeah, that is, oh, what's that? That looks like a kohlrabi. Blimey. just pat that one back in. There we go. I'll cover this rocket back up for the time being, not with the plastic when we're kind of protecting it later in the winter, but just to stop the birds attacking it, because they have gone crazy for rocket this year. They never used to eat it, but this year, all of a sudden, they seem to have a taste for it. Brilliant. These are all a bit small, these ones, Mum. They're all a bit small. I mean, they'll be fine to roast. Yeah. But not to grate.
Right, okay. So
I might pick one large one from over there,
okay.
And we'll just pick all these on Saturday and have them for dinner with the carrots or something. Right. That's a better size. I'm going to be grating these, so the little tiny ones just mean I grate most of my fingers off as well. Now for a bit of chard, and then I think it's probably time to call it a day. girly, girly. Righty-ho chaps, we are in Sheen. We're going back to the vet for the last time to pick up Annie's ashes. I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who left comments on last week's video and messaged me and emailed me, and I haven't worked my way through all the messages yet. I found it a bit sad to begin with, but it is getting better. I do still think he's going to be there when I come in the evening and when I come down the stairs in the morning, but you know, that is the way of things, isn't it? And yeah, basically just huge thank you to everybody, and I will be working my way through the messages as soon as I can. And so there he is, this small boy in a box in a paper bag. Yep. It's meant to be sunny tomorrow, so hopefully we'll have a beautiful day up at the allotment, and I'll see you then. Good morning, girly, whirly, whirly, girly, girly, whirly, whirly, woos. Yeah, Mum's going to try and get in and let you out. Yeah, it's a bit like an obstacle course trying to get in there now.
Come on.
Hey, girlies. Yeah. And who's this? Who we got? Who we got? Good morning, Lil.
Hello, hello, hello.
Really pleased to see Flo's out of the house this morning. She must have gotten over being broody. She's been stuck in that house for ages, so now hopefully all her feathers will come back because she's looking very scrappy. Hello, it is beautiful sunshine. There's not a cloud anywhere, and it is Saturday, sort of early afternoon. What is it, about 1 o'clock-ish? And we're going to move the rhubarb into the bed that looks wonky but that isn't wonky, that we've put up that end. So the rhubarb is in the bed with the strawberries, but it's had a bit of a hard time. Like, we moved it, God, how many years ago? It must have been about 4 years ago. We had an old patch of it up the other end of the plot, and then we kind of moved it, divided it, put it down here. It had a couple of years of doing fantastically well, and then last year it was pants. It could have been a number of things. It could have been the weather, it could have been anything, but it just really didn't look happy. Oh, it's bright. Really didn't look happy. So we need to dig it up and divide it again and get rid of the one crown that looks really, really sad. But we decided actually we want to kind of reclaim that bed for like, what's it called, annual stuff, and getting crops in, rather than have it assigned to raspberries. No, not raspberries, there's no raspberries. Strawberries and rhubarb. So we're going to put the strawberries, I said this a couple of weeks ago, we're going to put the strawberries in amongst the asparagus bed, the old asparagus bed, and we're going to put the rhubarb in the box at the end.
Yeah. 32.6, yes.
Oh, it is warm.
32.2, it's beautiful, isn't it? Just reset it.
Oh, we've got to get those broad beans out as well, haven't we?
Yes, because they'll be a bit hot in here, won't they?
Okay, first thing is to move this soil up into the bed. This has got all just annual stuff in it. This is an old tree spinach. There is some calendula, but these zinnias are still looking fab. So I'm going to try and move them just into the bed next door where we put the rocket yesterday. I'm going to stick them in the end there. I know they're not going to survive long term, but they just look so beautiful. It's such a shame to kick them out. So I'm going to take this as well. That's going to line the box at the other end. There's no point cutting some more because it's just wasteful. So we'll just use the same again.
Get a hole ready for these.
First up, move in the zinnias. Restapling the weed-proof matting around the edge. This is that weed-proof matting that doesn't shred like that awful plastic one. And it lasts ages. Like you can see, it's been in that bed for, what, 2 years? A year? 2 years, can't remember. But it's been in there. It's still perfectly fine, so we're just moving it over. The soil that's in there, though, was spent soil when we put it in that bed. And so it's really not got a lot going on, and rhubarb likes a bit of nutrients. So I'm going to shove this in the bottom. You can see we've left the bottom open so that the rhubarb will be able to go straight down into the soil. It's not a sealed bed. I'm going to put this soil in there. I'm also going to mix in some horse manure. We've got half a bag left. That's going to go straight in with this. And then I'll also put some compost straight from our compost bin into the bed, because the rhubarb likes it really, really rich. And so hopefully when we've divided up what rhubarb's there, we're probably going to take 4 pieces, I think, and we've got a lot in that bed. 4 of the smaller pieces, give it a really good start, loads of goodies in the soil. Hopefully we'll be back to having superb rhubarb again next year, because I really missed it this year. I don't think the hot weather did it any favours, but yeah, what's happened is that one of the crowns has rotted out, and so it was producing these hollow stems. And I'm hoping that the stuff on the other side that still looks really healthy when we kind of break it all up isn't going to have the same rot that that one had. Fingers crossed, stuff on the other side is healthy. Here's the old patch. Yeah, a couple of these still look really, really strong, but you can see we've got crowns under here that have they've just rotted out basically. And then this one down here, I think has got crown rot because it's just completely hollow. But hopefully that's just that one, and the other ones will be fine. Mum's just getting some compost out of the compost bin. This is bin number 3, so it's already compost. It's quite handy that we're going to put some in with the rhubarb, because we're trying to use it up, because we've got to turn the bins and we've still got all the compost in bin number 3. Out the way and into the soil. That's what we want.
Yeah, that's quite enough. I think probably right.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Some soil will come with it.
We'll see how big they are, yeah. Rhubarb done. That's exciting. I've actually just gone and dug out the rest of those crowns that were in there, and the ones on that side that I didn't take were really, really rotten underneath. So I'm hoping that whatever, I mean, they were huge, they were so dense and just rotten out down the centre. And the ones that I moved were all quite small and their roots were really like rock solid. So I'm hoping they're going to be okay. We'll give them a year anyway. If they turn out not to be okay, we might have to buy some new crowns, but it's always nice to have a bit of continuation, isn't it? So hopefully they are going to be rejuvenated and happy and wonderful for the spring. What is next is going to be the broad beans that are currently inside the greenhouse waiting are going to come out today. I've got a bit of space in the bed that's got the Iranian cress in it. So I'm going to do them up that end of the bed. Tick. That bed's actually already got 2 broad beans growing in it that I don't know where they've come from, but they're there. I don't know whether I'm going to try and move them, shuffle them into place with the others, although they're considerably larger and in full flower. There's also one over there, a rogue broad bean. I don't know where all these guys have come from. I don't remember kind of wantonly throwing broad bean seeds around, but yeah, next job. Right, come on broad beans, you're being turfed out. They're in the root trainers, which will have given them a really good deep root system, so hopefully they are going to be very happy. Other side of the set are the sweet peas, which are all actually looking pretty good, but unfortunately I can't carry this with one hand and film it because it's too heavy, so I'm going to have to stop talking. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13, not easy to split into 2. Might have to have a rogue one and do 6 and 6. I thought I'd done more than that. Why did I do so few? Okie dokie, fantabulous. We have got 2 complete rows, so they will have a support down the middle to tie them up, and then we've got 1 rogue one on the side. But meh. Look at these. These are the ones which just appeared out of nowhere. Full flower. Yeah, I've no idea where they came from. I got another one over here. This chap flowering away. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get any beans off them though, but we can use them for salad leaves. They're pretty delicious. But look at this! Just as I was looking at that bean, I spy with my little eye a plenty field beans coming up. Look at that! Fabulous. Tons of them. And I wonder about the other bed too. Let's have a look. They're in here next to the chard. Can we see any little green faces? Yes, we can. Oh, that's really fantastic. I was thinking that was going to be all gone, but no, fantastic. And look at that sky. Look at that sky. It is beautiful. Crystal clear, cold blue, mid-November sunshine. We're thinking of heading home. Mum is just packing up the polytunnel. We've had that airing a bit because it's so damp, and we thought on a dry day we'd just kind of let a bit of air in. But yeah, we are going to head home. I just can't get over what a beautiful day it is. We have got a whole load of rain coming up in the next couple of days. So I'm just going to appreciate it for a minute and then I'll see you at home for a glass of wine. How fantastic to get 2 full days of no rain. I was reading some statistic the other day, and in the first quarter, I think it was the first quarter of November, we had the same average rainfall as the whole of November. It's been a little soggy. Anyway, cheers. Yeah, 2 full days of getting stuff done, which was really nice. One of the things, obviously, I'm not going to record it because it's dead boring, but one of the things that we've got doing a lot of at the moment is weeding. This kind of warm, wet weather, the weeds have just gone nuts. Like, they do not seem to be affected by the lower light levels. They're just like, bam, quick, go. Yeah, so we've been doing a lot of weeding, but the allotment's looking pretty good, I think, for this time of year. We've still got masses and masses and masses to pick. Where, you know, we're at that stage, you know what it's like when you've got an allotment or when you grow your own food. You just, 1 minute you're thinking, God, there's nothing here, you know, I'm going to have to go to the shops, and the next thing, you know, you're having to eat pak choi with every single dinner. But, you know, that's how it goes, isn't it? I'm not going to complain about it, it's good. So, talking of eating things, next week we've got a whole array of stuff going on next week. There's a bit of cooking. Because I've been doing some experimenting. Not all successful, but mostly. Also, we got a bit from Johanna. She's been doing a bit of recording in her garden. I haven't been down to see her for so long. I mean, I meet up with her, but like I haven't actually been down to Hazelmere like to see her garden for such a long time. But she's done a bit of recording, so we'll be like foreign correspondent type stuff in the next vlog. Yes, a bit of cooking, a bit of Johanna's garden. I've got a lot of planting up to do in the polytunnel. The greenhouse needs, did you see how dirty it was when I was trying to film through the window? I was like, that might need a bit of a wash, I think. Yeah, so we're probably going to be washing the greenhouse as well and then bubble wrapping it, because although it's been really, really mild, the temperatures are really starting to dip now. So yeah, so a bit of bubble wrapping of that. We were going to do that this week, but the weather was just too nice. So we didn't get around to doing that. Yeah, because you know, it was like 32 degrees in the greenhouse when Mum was camping out in there. Yeah. Anyway, I'm still on a high from the beautiful weather today and like just absorbing the sunshine. It was so nice. And I don't think we're going to be seeing the sun for at least a week. It's going to be really dark and really gloomy. So yeah, just took in as much of it as possible today. But yeah, I think that's about it. I'm really pleased that we had those 2 days. We've got masses done. I've just realised you're on a slant here. My gimbal's broken. You're on the gimbal at the moment. And it holds it steady, holds my phone steady to record. But it's supposed to be like that straight. But it's decided it doesn't do straight anymore. So it's a wonky gimbal. So thumbs up to that. I might have to get a new one of those. Oh well, it's Christmas soon, isn't it? Just what, I won't mention it again, but I just want to say huge thanks again for all the messages about Annie. Like I said, found them a bit hard going at first because I was still very upset, and then sometimes sympathy makes it worse, do you know what I mean? When you're like, when other people are like, oh, and you know, and also people talking about their experiences of losing pets and animals, and oh, it's just oh. But anyway, I'm gonna go through them all and read them and reply to as many as I possibly can. Oh, there was one more thing. I've had a couple of questions about, do you remember a couple of weeks ago I said about the spreadsheet for doing planning when you're sowing things next year? I am still trying to do that. It's such a simple thing to do, but I've got some permissions problem with my Google account. An old place I used to work used to run their email systems through Google as well, and somehow I don't have, even though I've got my own Google account and my own Google domain, somehow I don't appear to have permissions to openly share documents as templates. So I'm trying to sort that out at the moment. I'm sorry, that's really, really rubbish. I thought it was going to be really simple because I've done it before. It's just like bam, bam, bam. But apparently it's not simple now. it's not simple now. So I just got to sort that out, and things have been a bit mental, a bit busy recently, so I haven't had time to just kind of sit down and spend an hour and try and go through all of the, you know, help and what are they called? Problem solving, troubleshooting things to try and free up my permissions so that I can share the template. Yeah. Anyway, cheers chaps. Hopefully next week, although it's going to be raining, is going to be just as productive, because that to-do list doesn't seem to ever get any shorter. Cheers chaps, see you next week.